Being a Titan, man, whenever I think of a Solo 3.0 Titan, I usually think of a Synthoceps Titan or a Loreley Titan using Solo 3.0. I never thought of using Heart of Innermost Light combined with the Solo 3.0 Titan to actually get a good Adler capability. I was actually surprised at how good the AoE damage was and the consistent health regen for me being able to tank a lot of damage with the Solo 3.0 Titan. This build is going to give us one of the highest burst AoE ad clear capabilities in the game right now, because as soon as you slide and pop your Consecrate, you're able to demolish anything in your path. Nothing really stands a chance once you do stack all your abilities up and you're able to just consistently slide and use your Consecrate and slam down and Scorch and ignite all those enemies. Once we do Scorch and ignite all those enemies, we don't even need to run any health regen mods on our boots, because this build is going to give us all the health regen we can think of, since we are going to be proccing Restoration every single time we do kill an enemy. While we're going to be proccing Restoration, this build gives us the capability to actually proc Radiant itself, which is going to give us a 25% damage buff. That's why you see the exotics I'm using in this build. We're going to be combining Sunshot with Heart of Innermost Light, and then I'm going to take you guys on a tour of the Solo 3.0 subclass, how to get the best AoE ad click capabilities for a Solo 3.0 Titan. Let's jump straight into it. So the key thing of this build that is actually making it work will be Consecration. That's the Solo 2.0 aspect, and consecration actually means while sliding, you're going to activate a charged melee ability to launch a wave of solar energy forward, damaging and scorching targets in front of you as you leap into the air. Now, here's the key thing: while you are in the air, you have to actually press your melee again, so you're going to cast a second wave, which is going to be stronger than the first wave, and if it hits scorched enemies, they will ignite. This is how you're able to instantly stun any unstoppable champions in your way, and this is what you see all the enemies just ignite, burst, and then they spawn sunspots on the ground as soon as you kill them. Now, if you want them to spawn sunspots, you're going to have to combine them with the solar aspect Sol Invictus. Sol Invictus is going to give us a capability to spawn sunspots once we defeat targets with any of our solar abilities, and since we are going to be using Consecration, which takes the spot of our charged melee, every single kill we do get will give us a sunspot, and once we step inside of that sunspot, we will be granted Restoration. This build gives you the capability to actually have unlimited health regen, since we are proccing Restoration pretty consistently. I'm able to take a lot of damage and hunker down in any spot I choose, just because I know I'm able to just consistently spawn sunspots whenever I want to. Getting your melee back is pretty consistent. The reason for that is in the Solo 3.0 subclass, we do have the fragment Ember of Searing. Ember of Searing is going to grant us the ability to gain melee energy back anytime we defeat a scorched target. And if you guys remember, once you have the aspect Consecration, once you slide and pop your first melee, that will scorch all of the targets, and that's going to grant you a bare minimum of 25% melee energy every single time you scorch enemies. So if you scorch more than 3 enemies, you're going to be granted over 50% of your melee refunded, and that's also going to create a fire sprite. The second thing we do have is Ember of Singeing. That's how we're able to get our melee back, because we're using Ember of Searing. Now, the way we're able to gain our class ability back is by using Ember of Singeing. Ember of Singeing is going to grant us 50% class ability energy every single time we scorch targets, and we're scorching targets every single time we slide and pop our melee ability by using the Solo 2.0 aspect Consecration. The next thing we have is Ember of Eruptions. Ember of Eruptions will make sure our solar ignitions have an increased area of effect. This is why you see all those big explosions as soon as I slap down my second melee, and everything just gets destroyed in front of me. The last thing we do have, which is going to help us take care of all the rest of the champions, will be Ember of Torches. And Ember of Torches gives us the ability to make ourselves radiant every time we hit an enemy with our melee. And once we do pop our first melee, once we slide and pop our melee ability, that's going to make us radiant, and we're able to stun barrier champions. And since we are going to be making champions ignite, that's how we're able to actually stun unstoppable champions. So with this build, you're able to stun barrier champions and unstoppable champions. As soon as you slide and scorch all the targets in front of you, you're going to be granted 25% melee energy every single time you do that. Once you do slam your hammer down and ignite all of the enemies, it's going to cause a big explosion because of Ember of Eruptions. Now, since we have the Solo 3.0 setup, the way we're able to consistently spam all of our abilities is because we're using Heart of Innermost Light. And when you're rocking Heart of Innermost Light and you get Empowered ×2, you will be granted an 800% increase to your melee regeneration and your grenade energy regeneration every single time. And once you collect a Fire Sprite, because you're defeating a scorched target, that would also grant you 10% melee energy back. So with this build, we're able to consistently spam all of our abilities. Heart of Innermost Light gives us an 800% additional base melee regeneration rate when we spam our other two abilities, and we're spamming all of our abilities back to back to back, so we're able to consistently scorch everything in our path and then ignite all those scorched targets. Now let's jump straight into the mod system so you guys can see exactly what I'm using. On our helmet, we have ashes to assets, so we're able to gain super energy on grenade kills. We have harmonic siphon, so rapid solo weapon final blows create and overpower, and we have hands-on. We're going to gain bonus super energy from our melee kills. On our gauntlets, we have three different things. We have momentum transfer, so causing damage with a grenade reduces our melee cooldown. We have heavy-handed, so our powered melee final blows create overpower. This is how we're able to consistently gain 3 armor charge stacks every single time we defeat one enemy. And then we have melee kickstarter. Melee kickstarter is going to grant us 10% every single time we do pop our melee ability. On our chest piece, we do have just regular damage resist mod, nothing too fancy. We just need to tank a lot of damage. That's why you're seeing me on the screen tank a lot of damage from Colossus back to back to back. On our legs, we have 3 different armor mods that's going to help us fully refund all of our abilities consecutively back to back to back. We have Absolution. We're going to reduce all ability cooldowns each time we pick up an overpower. We have Invigoration, so we're going to reduce our melee cooldown each time we pick up an overpower. And then we have Innervation, so we're going to reduce our grenade cooldown each time we pick up an overpower. And we will be spawning lots of overpower with this build by using heavy-handed combined with Reaper. Reaper is going to give us the ability to spawn an overpower after using our class ability. So that means that anytime we do pop up barricade, the next weapon final blow will spawn an overpower. We have outreach, so we're going to reduce our melee cooldown when using our class ability. And the last thing we do have is bomber. All of our mods synergize with each other and help us refund all of our abilities. The weapon setup I like to use with this build is Sunshot or Prometheus Lens. Any kind of solo weapons, we are using a solo 3.0 build, and we just like to scorch and ignite all of our enemies. So use a solo weapon when running this build. Other than that, if you guys like the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.